Okay, this video is to help you with your book report this week because this week you guys have a book report on the story, The Enormous Egg, the chapter book that we've been reading together. You guys should have now read the entire chapter book. And so the book report this week is actually a test grade. And so we really want you to do a good job on this test. So I want to review with you everything that's happened in the book so far and to give you a summary. And the easiest way I thought to do that was through pictures. So I'm going to show you pictures and retell the entire story of The Enormous Egg. Now, if you have not read the entire book yet, you want to stop this video when it gets to the point where you've already read, because I don't want to give away the ending if you haven't read the book yet. So read the book and then watch this video and then do your book report, okay? All right, Nate Twitchell lives in Freedom, New Hampshire with his family. He has a mom, dad, and a sister. And one day his hen lays this enormous egg and it's sitting on the nest, and he convinces his dad to let him keep the egg. But it was Nate's job to turn over the egg every day. And it wasn't an easy job rotating the egg, but he did it every day because he really wanted to see what was going to come out of that egg. 5 weeks had gone by and still nothing had come out of the egg. Nate was getting pretty upset. All he wanted to do was to see that egg hatch. He decided to go fishing, and while he was fishing, he met somebody. He met a doctor, and the doctor's name was Dr. Zemer. And he told them all about his enormous egg. However, Dr. Zemer was not a normal everyday doctor. He was actually a paleontologist, somebody who studied dinosaur bones and dinosaur eggs and dinosaurs in general. So he knew right away what was going on with Nate's egg. He actually went to Nate's house and he studied the egg very carefully. And he said, I think I know what's in that egg. Then another week went by. Now he was on week 6. And all of a sudden, one day he goes out to the hen cage to rotate the egg. And what does he see there? The egg had finally hatched. And inside of the egg was a little baby dinosaur. It almost looked like a little tiny baby lizard. So of course, Nate calls Dr. Zemer right away. And Dr. Zemer came over in his pajamas because he was just wanting to get there as fast as he possibly could. And he said, yep, that's a dinosaur, all right. Well, Nate's sister, Cynthia, said, we can't have a dinosaur here. You should take it to a museum, or maybe you should even take it to a zoo. But Nate did not want to do that because he loved the dinosaurs so much and he wanted to see it grow and he wanted to have it as a pet. So Nate went to his friend Joe and he said, Joe, you'll never believe what came out of my dinosaur egg. And Joe said, oh, I'm sure it was a duck. And Nate said, no, it's a dinosaur. And Joe said, it can't be a dinosaur. It must just be a big lizard. But it was indeed a dinosaur, a triceratops to be exact. And they decided to name it Uncle Beasley after the mom's uncle. The dinosaur at that point only weighed 4 pounds. It wasn't really that big. And it only was measuring 13 inches long. Dr. Zemer then tells Nate about one of his friends from Washington, and his name was Dr. Kennedy. And he was also a scientist. So one day they get a knock at their door. And it was Dr. Kennedy, and Dr. Kennedy was banging on the door, and he wanted to come in, and he wanted to see the dinosaur. So Nate, of course, said sure. But when they got to the dinosaur cage, or the pen where he was at, there was no dinosaur there. Uncle Beasley had gotten out. You guessed it. You knew right where Uncle Beasley was. He was eating the flowers in the neighbor's yard again. Dr. Kennedy said that Nate should tell the whole world about the dinosaur and they should put it in the newspaper because remember, Nate's dad writes the newspaper. Dr. Kennedy also talked to them about taking the dinosaur to the National Museum in Washington, D.C. He even said he would pay Nate $100 and money to take care of Uncle Beasley and to keep him for his own. But Nate did not want to sell his dinosaur to Dr. Kennedy. Then Dr. Kennedy introduced him to more scientists started to come around their house. And one of those scientists' names was Professor Morrison. Some people wanted the dinosaur so bad, they even offered Nate money to use the dinosaur to make suitcases. Of course, you can guess what Nate said. He said a big fat no way. He wasn't going to sell Uncle Beasley at all. The problem was Uncle Beasley kept eating a lot of food. And what they would feed Uncle Beasley was grass. Soon they were running out of grass because he was eating piles and piles of grass. Uncle Beasley ended up at this time being 9 feet and 798 pounds. Could you imagine? Especially during the winter, it was really hard for Uncle Beasley to have a place to stay because dinosaurs don't like cold weather. They need the warm weather. And so Uncle Beasley had to stay indoors, which was really hard to do. Dr. Zemer suggested that Nate take Uncle Beasley to Washington, D.C. and take him to a museum. And so Nate finally agreed. They put Uncle Beasley into a big room full of straw that he could have his own place there in Washington, D.C. And Nate would stay right by. However, Nate was not used to the big city life. He was used to the country and he thought the city was just too noisy. He would get up every morning at 5:00 a.m. just to walk Uncle Beasley. And sometimes when no one was around, he would actually get on Uncle Beasley's back and go around the city that way. Except for one day, something bad happened. Nate was riding around on Uncle Beasley's back, and they actually knocked into a truck and caused the truck to go over on its side. Well, you can imagine this caused quite a ruckus, and it sure didn't make the police officers happy. The police officer said, "Wait a minute, this is too dangerous having a dinosaur out in the city. This dinosaur needs to go to a zoo." So this time, they packed up Uncle Beasley again, and they took Uncle Beasley to the zoo finally. However, some people were still getting upset with Nate. The senators said, "This is costing too much money for us to take care of a dinosaur at the zoo. It's making everybody have to pay more and more money just to feed Uncle Beasley." He said some animals can be used to work, but Uncle Beasley's not good for anything. This made Nate so sad. All he wanted to do was to be with Uncle Beasley and for Uncle Beasley to be happy. So then Nate went on TV. He went on TV and told everybody about his dinosaur. And he asked everybody to save the dinosaurs. And that's exactly what everybody in the community did. They held up signs and said, "Save the dinosaurs, save the dinosaurs." And they started donating a bunch of money, and Uncle Beasley was finally saved. Nate was happy and Uncle Beasley were happy. But Nate eventually had to say goodbye to Uncle Beasley and leave him in Washington, D.C. It's kind of sad to leave Uncle Beasley, but he knew he was in good hands. Dr. Zemer gave Nate a present, and the present was a fossilized egg so that he would always remember everything that happened with Uncle Beasley. And then when Nate got home, they had a big parade in his honor, and the book ended with a happy ending. Okay, so I hope you read the chapter book, The Enormous Egg. But if you did and you can't remember what it's about, that was a summary for you guys. It tells you about the characters in the book. It tells you about the plot of the book. It tells you the problem, the solution, all of it. But please read the book. And there's a lot of activities online that you can do with The Enormous Egg. I'll try to attach some of those this week and videos for you guys to watch. But have fun doing your book report. Again, remember, it is a test grade. Bye.